Hey YouTube, I just want to make a quick video from the homeowner's perspective about the RunTru by Trane line of systems. Full disclosure, I'm not an HVAC tech, nor do I have any affiliation with a specific HVAC contractor or Trane itself. I'm actually going to leave the name of my contractor out of this video and the price I paid, as that will be highly dependent on the market conditions, where you live, and if you're paying cash or financing it or credit card, things like that. My wife and I purchased our built-in 1988 house in January of 2020, and from the word go, we knew that the circa 2002 Bryant system needed to go. Besides being past its typical service life and inefficient by today's standards, the prior owner of the house had been a chain smoker. The people who flipped this house actually did a lot of really good work, like replacing a bunch of the drywall in the house, but a compromise to all that was they left the old HVAC system in place. On top of that, the strip heaters were totally inoperative on the old Bryant system, which here in Central Florida isn't such a huge deal, a couple cold days here and there. As you can see from the slideshow, not only was the old unit ducting disgusting, the evaporator itself was totally disgusting, and it looked like it had last been cleaned with a hammer and an ice pick. It was really in poor shape. Real quick on efficiency, even given the age of that Bryant system, our power bill has never exceeded $100 a month at this house. Our house is quite small by many people's modern standards, and it's only 950 square feet under air conditioning. Given, as mentioned, we live in Florida, having a central AC fail is a pretty big inconvenience. I wanted to be proactive about replacing this system versus reactive. This allowed us to spend a couple weeks researching contractors, systems, and brands, and think about our goals for the house and what we wanted to accomplish with this. We did not shop solely on price, and we did not buy the cheapest system, believe it or not. As I know from prior experience, how a unit is installed will often dictate its performance reliability, and not necessarily the brand. So we received a number of proposals. We started to narrow our choices down on vendors, contractors, and vendors of systems, and we landed on Trane. The feedback we got from 3 local contractors was that Trane had a pretty strong support and logistics systems in our area, and that was important to me since our prior house we had a Linux system, and it was a great system and it ran well, but it did break a couple times like they all do. And finding spare parts in a timely manner was an issue at times. Like I remember once a board had to come all the way from California and we were down for a few days. So specifically we went with a 14 SEER 2-ton heat pump RunTru system with their A4 handler and a 5 kW resistive backup heat system. Although we are in Central Florida, it, it would take a pretty major cold spell to even necessitate those coming on for any length of time, but nevertheless we had it put in. This system basically is the same as a Trane XR14 and TEM4 air handler. And also the system included a Trane XR303, 303 thermostat. While the new RunTru, so why did the new RunTru line appeal to me? Well, it wasn't the cheapest option by a long shot. And I'm gonna leave those brands out of this. But after doing my research, as I already mentioned, this is literally a Trane XR14 and TEM4 and air handler at a discount. I'm talking down to the spine fin coil on the compressor, the boards, the capacitors, the fan motors, you name it. That was a big plus to me since it means most of the common parts that would fail will already be on any repair truck should a breakdown occur. On top of that, we have a smaller house, as I said, and we just really didn't feel, the complexity or lack thereof of our house needed a communicating system. And while I would love to have had a newer TAM air handler found on, like the XL line outside compressor unit systems typically for more insulation and the composite case, the price delta versus the Trane proposals with the TAM units was just too much. I mean, we're talking orders of magnitude of what we paid for this RunTru system. I know there's some controversy out there on the TAM air handlers as well, but I'll leave that out since it doesn't matter. I didn't buy it. So I will say the compression closer is not as nice as some of the Trane units I've seen, but it does appear more sturdy than a Goodman unit I once owned, which would bend if I looked at it wrong. The air handler isn't a whole lot to look at, as you can see. It's just galvanized steel. And that said, I'm not trying to really impress people in my garage. You do give up some of the mainline Trane warranty. The RunTru warranty at the time of this video on a system like mine is on the compressor, you get 10 years on the coil, all other parts 5. On the air handler, you get 10 years on the coil, all other parts 5. Now, I will say a plus here is that's just what you get. You don't have to fill out any complex registration forms like you do some other vendors out there or anything like that. Like, what it is what it is. And then the labor warranty is, I'm not even going to mention that because that's highly dependent on your contractor. Keep in mind that is specifically for my system, which is a pretty standard system. Check that against the proposals you are getting. If you have any questions over time how this unit's been working or anything else, feel free to leave a comment and I'll get back to you when I can. And I know it's not the most exciting video being a slideshow with some random videos, but again, I really just didn't see much out there on YouTube when I was doing my research about these systems. Really just a couple short installation videos and whatnot. So overall it's running fine right now, but time will tell. Thanks.